Welcome, friends. It's Ray. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, over on Instagram, I am participating in the Rediscovery Hop. I love participating in this hop because often we have tons of supplies and tools in our stash that we don't always get to use or make time to use. So I wanted to do this to encourage everyone to go back in their stash, look through it, pull out stuff that you haven't used in years. Join me over on Instagram for a link to all of the hop participants so that you can see all of the beautiful projects that people are using, and hopefully you'll get inspired to go back and shop your stash. For my card today, I'm using the Altenew Dear Dahlia's Build a Garden Stamp, Stencil, and Die. And I love this set, and we'll link to another video that I did using this set. And I'm gonna apologize in advance for my shaky video. I am filming from a hotel, and so I don't have my normal lighting, and the table I'm using is a little shaky, so I will try and edit out the really bad areas. Our theme is birthday, and the technique is fun fold. You can use both or one or the other. I'm just going to be using the birthday theme and not a fun fold, but I will link in the description bar below to a fun fold birthday card that I did. My card today is a 5x7 A7 card. Here I'm using my heat tool to heat set my ink because I will be coloring over it and I don't want it to bleed. I have placed my stamped image on my Altenew grid mat and am now going to start coloring with the stencils. And there is a guide inside, and I wanted to just show you that. So that's inside of the packaging, and it shows you how to line up your stencil on your stamped image. This is stencil number 1, and so then I'm tacking down or pressing down on the left and right sides of my stencil, and those will adhere to my Altenew mat. And here I'm bringing in my Distress ink in Peacock Feathers and quickly coloring that. These stencils make it really quick and easy to color. And here I brought in stencil number 2 using that same ink, and because I'm inking over the same color, I'm going to get it darker, so I'm going to get some highlights and shading. Love this. Here I'm bringing in stencil number 3, and there are some guides on this stencil to help you line it up. I love this. This is a great way to use your inks when you don't have that many. Just lets you use what you have and lets you know that you don't have to have like the light, the medium, and the dark in each color family. I mean, if you have them, that's great, use them, but if you don't, you can get away without all of them. So I colored all of my florals with Peacock Feathers, and now for the leaves on the 4th stencil, I'm bringing in Shabby Shutters Distress ink, and we'll color all of my leaves with Shabby Shutters. This 4th stencil has 4 quadrants, and it's kind of sectioned off. You can't miss it on the stencil. And so there's one, the first quadrant or first area is for the leaves, the top leaves, and then the second area is to give shading to the top leaves. So I will use this same shabby shutters ink to color in those highlights. Now I'm moving to the third quadrant on the stencil for that large leaf towards the bottom there, and then the fourth quadrant is going to be the shading and the highlight. Again, I'm just using the shabby shutters. I was going to use Milan, but felt that would just be a little too dark. And here I'm done with my image. That come together quickly or what? I just love these layering stencils. Part of the matching dies allows you to create a dahlia, a dimensional dahlia. So I have die cut these out, bringing in that peacock feathers again, and just inking these up. And the coloring is going to vary, and that's going to just add to the dimensions. Some areas are light, some are dark, but just coloring all of these. The packaging is really great because it shows you how to stack these, and so I've laid them out in that order, and each piece, all except the last one, they have an arrow that cuts and allows you, or tells you, and so that tells you how to stack them. You want to align them so that the arrow is facing the same way on each of the pieces. This is genius because this just makes it a lot easier. And so I will go through, add a little liquid adhesive behind each piece around the arrow, and then just stack them. And that's going to form my dahlia. Oh, I love it. And here I'm going to speed this up just a hair so that you do see the final outcome, but you don't have to wait as long. You can also use your YouTube gear setting to slow the video down if you really want to see it in real time. This last piece, I am adding glue to the entire piece, and we'll use that or place it over the opening to cover the arrow. I've used the large die to cut out my large dahlia image, the cluster, and so now I am placing just a white cardstock piece in my MISTI and bringing in a sentiment from the kit to stamp directly on my panel. I'm going to stamp that with my Hero Arts Intense Black ink just to the bottom left of that of where I will be placing my floral cluster. And here I'm bringing in a stencil. This is an Altenew stencil from their Carnations stamp set. And bringing that in, bringing in peacock feathers, and just lightly, not pressing hard at all, using the ink that was left on the brush just to create a focal image or focal background on my panel. I trimmed my panel to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. I added double-sided tape to the back. I did cut a mat that's 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, and so I partially released the release paper from my double-sided tape, and then I'm bringing in liquid glue to add to the exposed areas so that I have time to actually get this aligned on my mat. And once I get it aligned, then I will remove the release paper and go ahead and permanently affix this to my mat. And here I'm using liquid adhesive to add to the back of my large floral cluster. And then I will place this on my focal panel. Okay, so placing this right above where I stamped my sentiment, and then I will place my acrylic block over top so that that gets enough pressure to adhere. And so this dahlia, the die cut dahlia actually fits right over top of the largest dahlia in the cluster, so that you can add that dimension and texture to your design. And again, don't forget to join us over on Instagram to see all of the other beautiful cards in this hop. And off camera, I did add some Elizabeth Crafts gold glitter peel-offs to my design. I added about 5 of those, and then you will see in the final pictures I actually added a different sentiment because I realized I needed a card, a birthday card, so I added a birthday sentiment. New sentiment is from Simon Says Stamp Happiest Wishes stamp set. Like the video, please give me a like. Consider subscribing if not already a subscriber. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, good day, friends.